Hello friends, we're here today at Mount Loretto Cemetery in Lapeer, Michigan. We're going to introduce you to one of the most famous Lapeer, Michigan natives in history. Right on the way out here, and we're going to pull up right here next to this grove of trees. And let's get out and have a look. Good, here we are. And with this whole section right here, this row and that row are all members of the Carrigan family. Carrigans were a big family in Lapeer from the late 1800s. They have quite a few important members of the family, but the most famous is right here, Thomas Jay Carrigan, 1886 to 1941. Star of silent movies and a few talking pictures as well, but mostly known for his work in the silent films. And as you can see, he's also a veteran, and someone's got a flag there on his marker, which is really nice. He was a veteran of World War I, and he served in the Army, and had quite an interesting story there as well. And we'll just check out some of his relatives here too. Mary, who died in 1930, George, who died in 1905. I'm trying to find his brother, who died in 1940. His brother was actually the Lapeer County Sheriff, and he died just, oh, here's Leo. Leo was one of the brothers who founded a high-end law firm in Detroit, Carrigan and Carrigan, which I believe is still in business. Several of the brothers didn't live very long. The other brother, who was a sheriff, I think it might be, yep, this one right here, George, was the county sheriff. He died just a short time after his famous brother did, and he died in a car accident. He was coming back from serving some papers out by Columbiaville while on duty, was involved in a car wreck, and perished. The family was quite successful and operated a business in Lapeer. Let's go have a look. The Carrigan family operated a large hotel right here on the northwest corner of Pine Street and Genesee Street, which is long gone, but this would have been where the children were born and raised and grew up before leaving home and going off on their separate careers. Tom Carrigan started his career by going to New York City and landing a role in a Broadway production, which lasted quite a long time and was quite successful. He then decided to move on to films, beginning in New York, and then later moving to Chicago, the home of the more modern two-reel films that were being produced just before the industry moved to Hollywood, where he met and worked with many of the early stars of the motion picture industry, including very famous producers and directors. He broke into the business while he still had an opportunity to be considered a handsome leading man, but he only starred in a few movies before he started to become a supporting actor. And by the end of the silent era in 1927, he was down to being a supporting actor or bit player. Wikipedia credits him with 23 different films, but IMDb lists a couple that aren't on this list. Here's a promotional poster from his very first film, Told in Colorado, starring Tom Mix, but you can see that Carrigan actually got top billing on the flyer. He was still living in New York City at the beginning of World War I in this apartment building, and he went to serve in the military, was put in charge of entertainment on a troop transport ship, and is credited with being the first person to show moving pictures at the Vatican. His last film was Airmail, released in 1932 by the famous director John Ford, and he got a decent billing on the credits in this, but it was a very small part. And you can watch this entire film on YouTube if you're interested, for free. And coming up here, we'll show you where Tom makes his appearance in this movie. Due to his age and the changeover after 1927 to talking pictures, Like many of the successful silent stars, Mr. Carrigan didn't make a very good transition into the talkies.
Righty, Sleepy. Yo! You better get some rest if you're going to see the doctor in the morning.
As a footnote, though, IMDb Movie Database lists him as being in the cast of the movie Wings, which was actually a movie kind of similar to this based on aviation, and it was the only silent film ever to win an Academy Award for Best Pictures in 1927, the first year of the Academy Awards. His most successful early film was Peggy the Will-O-Wisp, on which he met Mabel Taliaferro, who soon became his wife. They were married in Lapeer, Michigan, moved to New York City, and had one child. They divorced in about 5 years, and Miss Taliaferro went on to marry several more times. When Mr. Carrigan decided that his film career was over, he retired to a home right here in downtown Lapeer, just around the corner from the Pix Theater, which would have sat right in this corner lot right here. On the corner of Park and Pine. The 1940 U.S. Census report shows that he lived alone and his house was valued at $7,000. Here's a copy of his obituary that appeared in multiple newspapers around the country. His son tried his hand at acting as well, but was not very successful. You can see in his obituary that he took his mother's maiden name and lived in Hawaii as director of the National Weather Service. His mother also retired to Hawaii.